Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin Stern coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And it looks like my horizontal stream got flipped to vertical, so I apologize for that. I sent it to horizontal, but it went vertical, but we'll just have to go with it. What I have is the black line Daff ration from Chile. I can't remember if these are the police ones. I think the red line, might be the first responder. The actual military Daff are in a light tan bag, but I believe this might be the police one. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've had one of these, but my favorite menu is the Salmon Paella. This is sent to me by Foreign MRE. Art and Nina, they sent me a replacement mug for my one that broke. So I got the water going. And the way I'm going to do this has that berries jam, and what I'm going to do with it, I'm actually going to heat that, and I'm going to make a Ration cobbler out of it. I've done that before with the big cracker, which is more like a cookie. There we go. I just wanted to be a little careful when I cut into it so I don't cut anything. So the first thing I pull out is the salmon paella. Here we have the accessory pack. With their branded spork. The coffee packet, and these, they always have extra air in them. This is the other coffee, it's a freeze-dried. Here is the FRH. And it would just barely be big enough to put this in, so I will hold on to this one. The pad in there feels like about the same as you would find in one of those body warmers, those hot hands body warmers. So I won't be using that, but I will hold on to it. This is what they call the big cracker. They're vacuum sealed. And there is Art and Nina dropping that super chat. That's much appreciated. This says apricots on syrup. It should say in for proper English, but the English label fell off the back of this one, but this is peanuts and raisins. This is isotonic drink powder, and it is very, very cakey. I will see if I can salvage it. Then the last thing out of the bag is the berries jam, and it just seems like all liquid. Jared Smith in the house. Mizakni in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Two names I haven't seen before. Welcome. This ration does not come with creamer, so I brought my own from my kitchen. It's a very dark roast. A little bit chunked up, but it's not, doesn't have that black mold in there. Inside the accessory pack, you get the branded spork, so I will be holding on to that. A small napkin, two packets of salt instead of salt and pepper. It'd be nice if they would have put pepper in there. And 6 packs of sugar. I'll only be needing one. And it looks like one of these might have oh, it's one of the salt packets that kind of leaked. It's not that one. So it must be this one that leaked. I'm putting my trash into the ration bag. Lord Alcatraz. This is from Chile. Now I'm going to put my creamer in there. Wilcox in the house. Oh, the Daff, the Chilean. Like I said, the salmon paella is my favorite out of all of the Daff rations that I've had, I haven't had every single one from their menu lineup, but the ones that I've had, the salmon paella is my favorite. And it looks like moisture might have got to this. It's a natural pineapple scent, which is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and pour water in here. I made a bit of a mess there, but I'll take care of that. Curious Petey is here. Thanks for dropping in. In the meantime, I'm going to take my paella and the berry jam, which is basically it's a syrup. I'm going to take both of these into the kitchen. The syrup will, the berries jam will not take all that long to heat, so what I might do after I pour the water in for my coffee, I just may take some of the water that's left in the kettle, put it in a bowl, and then just sit this in it. There's one little bit that didn't quite dissolve, that's kind of stuck to my spork, so I'm just going to leave that in there. Waffles in the house. Infos in the house, thanks for dropping in. That's okay, Waffles. It's good to see you in here. Now, well, that's going on. I am going to see, this label has started to peel off. That's the English label for the peanuts and raisins peeled off. So just, yeah. That label never made it to the bag. Now the tear notch is below the bottom of the cookie, and now it's put that at the bottom, so I'm just going to cut it from the other end. Neck melon tear notch. These break up very easily, which is what I want them to do. There's a close-up of, that's the bottom of it. Now tear notch again, it's below where the peanuts and raisins are, so I'm just going to cut this open from the other end. Got all of those out of there. Actually, I'm going to set the bowl on top of my mug. I'm going to use the other end of my spork. It's dissolving pretty good, but because it was so clumped up, I just had a lick of that. I like that. It's good pineapple flavor. Now this tear notch on this apricots pouch should work pretty good. Or maybe not. I think it's going to need a little help. I just had to completely cut it off because it just didn't want to completely come off. Apricots are definitely mushy, but the color on them is still pretty good. I'm going to go back into the kitchen and bring in my paella and the berries jam. There we go. I got the jam pouch underneath the paella because I took it out of the bowl first. I will dry the paella off. that's all I'm going to get out of that. Survival Empire Ration Reviews. Thanks for dropping in. This is Chilean Daff Black Line Single Meal Ration Menu 6 Salmon Paella. There is also a red line. This black line, I believe, maybe police. Art or Nina can correct me on that. The red line, I believe, is for first responders, and the tan bag is the actual military ration. So now I'm going to open up the berries jam. I'm going to pour all over. There are a few berries in there. The bowl doesn't quite sit right on there because of the way that this tray is, but I'm just going to mix that around so all the big cracker pieces are coated. I'll put that behind my tray in between my coffee and my drink. Again, I apologize for my stream being vertical. I'd set it to horizontal, but it switched on its own as I hit the button to go live. But there you can see the big piece of salmon with some of the rice on it. The salmon flavor is not covered up by anything. There's a piece of red bell pepper. Only a few pieces of that. But paella is usually, there's a pea in there mixed in with the rice. And the pea is a little bit firmer. The rice is soft, but it's not complete mush. Traditional Spanish paella is usually made with saffron. The bag has the ingredients for the paella. It has shrimp in there, onion, peas, red paprika or bell red pepper, paellero seasoning, which is garlic, salt, paprika. It has a food color in it, pepper, clove, does have saffron in it. So it has the ingredients for the items in here. So there is saffron in there, but there's also the yellow artificial color. Oh, Wilcox had to take off. I hope it's nothing too serious over there. But I can pick up the shrimp flavor. But nothing is overpowering the salmon. So there's the color even got into the salmon. Yeah, I have my slider cracked. I always hear sirens every day going up a nearby street. These raisins got squished together with the peanuts. I'm going to try just a peanut by itself. Has a little bit of the raisin taste on it, but it's not rancid. Some have got into the paella. More often than not, I hear ambulances, fire trucks, less so the police cars, but I do hear them. But this mix is fine, aside from being all clumped together from being vacuum sealed. Now there is a whole shrimp. Traditional paella is made with seafood. Tim Riley in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Plus, there are hospitals not all that far from here that the ambulances will be going to once they pick up their patient. I'm going to go ahead and take a drink of this. That is a natural pineapple flavor. So it tastes like it's got real pineapple juice in it, which is nice. Actually, I should take out one of these pouches, see if I can see some kind of a date on it. I pulled out the paella pouch and I'm looking for a date. I'm not seeing one on that. Oh, okay, here we go. It says expired November of 2022, so this is probably 2019. I knew it had to be before 2020. So I will take this as a 2019. I looked on another one. I couldn't find a date on it, but after this stream ends, I will add 2019 to the title to reflect what year this is, because these have a stated 3-year shelf life. But this is still good. The Chilean coffee is my favorite ration coffee. Just making sure my cat isn't doing something I don't want her to do. There was a peanut in between my bowl and my mug. Prepper for the Ages is here. Thanks for dropping in. The raisins are still chewy, but I think some of the sugars have started to migrate to the surface. But the flavor is still good. Peanuts are fine. Now this is apricots here. Have definitely gotten soft. But the flavor is all there. There's nothing wrong with that. So I will be finishing that off. At this 200 grams Not as much as what you would get in an American Emery for Maine. Usually that's 240 grams or 8 ounces. And for those just coming in, this is a black line Daff menu 6-7 Paella. The coffee, the accessory packet didn't come with creamer, so I added my own. But the Chilean coffee is my favorite ration coffee. It's a nice dark roast. There's some people outside, probably in a park. Probably kids playing, so. Sometimes lately I've been hearing some really, really loud music, either outside or on one of the other decks, but I'm glad it's not there now. Otherwise, I would get a copyright strike for sure. Oh yeah, that's something. These jewels, that is something that right now can only happen on the vertical live streams. And then what that turns into is something called rubies, and that represents additional. It's something like a super chat or super sticker. So it actually earns me a little something, because I prefer to horizontal stream. That feature is not available on horizontal streams yet, but I think that may happen pretty soon. I didn't break this up good enough, but I don't care. Yeah, so you basically, it's buying, you're buying a virtual gift, and then YouTube will convert that into the rubies, which will represent what I earn from it. Because this is the first time I've seen it, it'll probably take some time for these to build up. But thanks, Wilcox, for doing that. That's much appreciated. And it also lets other viewers know what that looks like. And when I see it, I see that little animation. And then it shows up next to the super chat, a little gift icon. And also new for streaming our super chat goals. Some YouTubers will set a goal for how many super chats they would like to get. I'm not going to bother with that. Because the way I figure it is, it's just there if someone wants to do it. If they don't want to do it, I'm fine with that. Actually, I'm going to take this paper towel and wipe, because I kind of spilled a little bit, but that's okay. The cookie bits have softened up quite a bit and they have absorbed the liquid. When you bite into it, or when I bite into any of the bigger pieces, I can still get the crunch, but it tastes like a cobbler crust. And heating up that berries jam, I think, made it even better. So thanks, Survival Empire Rations. I'm not subscribed to your channel. I'm going to have to subscribe to it. Have to check out some of your videos. But thanks for doing that. I see the red 100 next to your comment. So thanks for doing that. That's much appreciated. Whatever I earn goes back into the channel in one form or another. Or there'd be I buy something, a piece of gear, or ration, or I use part of it to pay my internet bill. But it all goes back into the channel in one way or another. Yeah, getting something like this in a ration, it would be like getting comfort food. The American ration packers need to step up their game. And come up with stuff like this. Of course, this is nowhere near as good as an authentic, fresh-made paella straight from a chef's kitchen, but I'm glad I get to have this at least one more time. as I said in my post that I put up earlier today, when Art and Nina sent me a replacement for an MRE mug up because my other one broke, they sent this and a halal beef and barley stew MRE and a corned beef hash brown bag. I'm not sure the year. It could be a 91 or 92. I'm not sure. I won't know until I open that one up. But that is my favorite brown bag. I've only had a few. I've had 3 of those so far. One was not edible. The other 2 were perfect. So I'm hoping that this one will be just as good as the other 2. When Art and Nina were actively selling on their foreignemery.com website, they got a hold of them and they were selling them when it was easy to get foreign rations in. So they would buy a large number of them, have them shipped here, and then sell them. And people like us would buy them. I don't know where else these would be available. I haven't looked on eBay for them, but it might be worth a search. I don't know of any other active ration sellers outside of eBay that might have them. But I would definitely try getting a hold of one if you can. Because they're worth it. I don't know what their current lineup might be like, but they do have their own website, mredaff.com. Holding that up so you can see that. Again, it's going to be sideways on your screen, so I apologize. Oh, I think I'm froze. Yeah, my image just froze. Oh, nope, there we go. Just a huge delay. Have a huge delay. Yeah, I'm going to turn this. I'm going to hold it up again, but I'm going to turn it. Let's see. I'm holding it up again, and I have to wait for it to come up on my screen. I have my stream up on my tablet. Let's see. And I do see a delay. Trying to get the glare from the light off. But anyway, if you can't read that, I apologize, but it's mredaff.com. Yeah, for streaming, there is there is a bit of a delay between my phone's camera and what I see on my tablet screen because of the way I have my phone positioned. I can't read the chat on it without standing up. So I put it up on my tablet so I can see the chat easier. And I can check for any kind of delay, anything like that. I have a video on my setup. I did, I think a couple of months ago. And I showed how I set it up for filming whatever I happen to have on my little folding table. I show how I have the flexible arm of my phone mount shaped where I have it clamped to the desk that is to my right. And then I have my, I call it my backup phone, which does not have the cell service on it, but I have it as a backup, and I have apps on there that I do not have on my main phone. But I put that up there as a visual to show what it looks like with a phone in its jaw. But I thought it would be good to show what my setup is for those that might be interested. And I brought in my Zome tripod that I have used for video shoots or streaming at other locations, which I have not done a whole lot of lately. But when I have camped with other YouTubers, I have taken it. And when I did that video, I could not find the exact model of tripod that I had, but I did put up a link for a Zome tripod that is the closest for people that may be interested in upgrading their tripods. Because the last two that I had, they broke. They're just cheap crap. I do need to get a new phone holder piece to put on top of the tripod because it just barely fits my my current phone that I use for video shoots and streaming. I need to get one that can accept a wider case because I like having my phones in cases because, you know, they do get dropped. And have another piece of the apricot. Yeah, that syrup. It's it's a little thick, but it still likes to go where you don't want it to. I can't remember the name of this foam melt. I think I got it on either eBay or Amazon after my old white one broke that I had for almost 20 years. The pivot adjustment ring on it, that's plastic, finally cracked. And this one is as well, but it's a thicker one, it's a wider one. But this one has an additional adjustment that you can make on it, which my old one did not. Plus, that one is a lot more unstable, regardless of the desk or table that you mounted it to. It was always wobbling, and this one, unless you bump it, it has no wobble. But it's worth the investment to get a good quality foam mount and a good quality tripod. And both of those were purchased with my YouTube revenue. And Pumpkin just went past. You might hear her meowing. She's way off camera, but sometimes she'll walk to the left of my table. Yeah, she just jumped down from on top of something else. What you want, Pumpkin? Hmm? My silly little torty girl. She also likes to go under my table, or under my chair. Don't you, Pumpkin? My silly little torty girl. Yeah, you got a glimpse. Yeah, she just went, after I took a drink of my pineapple drink, she went past. So that's what that dark bit of fuzz that you saw going by. I don't know if she's attracted to the salmon smell or what. I'm not sure what you mean by a steering wheel tray. Like a round one? as Smitty up in Canada has used. I have one exactly like that. In fact, I found two of them in a thrift store. I gave one to a friend, a local friend here in Iowa. Someone gave him some MRAs, so I gave him a tray and suggested that he go ahead and open one up on camera, but he never did. Well, I have never heard of those. I think that would be difficult to use. And I would definitely would not want to use it while driving. Of course, I don't drive, so that's... That doesn't affect me directly. It would only affect me as a passenger. What you want, pumpkin? You smell my salmon? I open a can or a pouch of tuna. She could care less. I open chicken. She sometimes gets interested. Of course, the last time I actually had some salmon, just plain salmon that I took out of my freezer because I wanted to cook it and eat it. She didn't show much interest, but because of what else is in it, I am not going to give her any. It's got onion and garlic. I know those are not good for dogs, and I'm pretty sure they're not good for cats either. I just want it all for myself. Sorry, pumpkin, you're not getting it. Closest thing to a vehicle I have ever owned were trikes, but every one of those that I've had got stolen. And I was eventually going to try to get my last one fitted with an electric motor, but it got stolen before I could even get close to that. So before we had locks on the entry doors, I had my last truck that I owned in a stairwell with 5 or 6 chains, including one super heavy duty chain, but someone invited some criminals in, and they basically took my trike apart, left only the frame and the heavy duty chain, and then that was finally taken. And of course, police took my report. She took pictures of the frame that was left behind. Then after that, that frame and that chain got stolen, so I never got anything out of that. Wasn't really worth claiming on the renter's insurance because the value of it was less than the deductible, so I wouldn't have got that back anyway. Now, I've never done salmon that way. But if it was smoked salmon, some call it, I think, lox. I'm not sure the actual pronunciation of that. But I haven't had smoked salmon in a coon's age. When one of my sisters was a nanny in New York, when she would get vacation time and she'd fly back here to Iowa, she would bring back some smoked salmon that she picked up in New York. It was shelf stable, did not need to be refrigerated. And by the time she would go back to New York, we had that whole thing eaten up. But if I were to buy that now, I'm sure it would cost me just a pack of that would probably cost me as much as whatever price this ration may be currently selling for. Well, we would just put the smoked salmon on, just on crackers or on bread. We never ate eggs with it, just either on crackers or bread or just straight out of the pack. Maybe one of these years I might find a small pack. I would have to save up some money for it though. I'm going to go back for another bite of this. If there were a few more berries in there, there's a couple of the berries right there, blueberries. This would be like a straight up berry cobbler. Because the pouch that berries jam comes in, I wouldn't be surprised if a person in the field with this ration would just break up those cookies and put them in that pouch and then let those pieces soak up that syrup and then just eat it out of the pouch like that. Of course, for video purposes, I use a bowl. Now, if this were peaches, I could have used that with the big cracker instead of the berries jam, but I like doing it with the berries jam because it's just like making a ration cobbler. You know, with the USMRE, if you get the berry cobbler and the oatmeal cookie, break that up, do the same thing with that cobbler, and then let it sit for a while. In fact, if I get those two again, I'm going to do the exact same thing. We ate salmon patties a lot when we were kids. It was a quick, easy meal. Sometimes one of my grandmothers would make it. My dad's mother died in 1983 during my, the latter part of my junior year in high school. So I had to take a couple of days off from high school for that. But she would make the salmon patties. My maternal grandmother would make them also. But she would be making more Polish dishes because that's what she grew up on. Huh. Speaking of a case B, Paul's Gear Review opened up a case B that he thought was going to be from 2018. It was a 2023, and he got 2 Menu 19s in that box. So he did not get a complete run of 13 through 24. He got 2 Menu 19s, and some of the MREs were in the bag with the peelable seal, and then some of them were in the newer style packaging with the clear back and only the color on the front. You know, the tan color with the black printing on the front, and the rest of it is clear. So he got a mix of those packaging styles in that 23 case B, which is really odd. CR in the house, thanks for dropping in. My stream went sideways, so I'm going to hold this like this. Salmon Paella. This is the 2019 pack. I will put that year in the title later on. Again, I got this from Art and Nina at Foreign Emery, along with my replacement Foreign Emery mug. So that's why this one had to come out tonight. I don't have much left of my paella. And in this bowl, I took the big cracker, which are basically big cookies. I broke them up. I heated the berries jam, which is basically a thick syrup with a few berries in it. And I poured that over top of the cookie pieces to make a Ration cobbler. And this is a pineapple drink. Natural tasting, natural color. And one thing everybody who had these rations always liked getting, the Daff spork. It's flexible, not so easily breakable. I think this is like my fourth one. I have one of these in my get home bag. I have one of these in my bug out bag. And then I think I have one in my camping pack. I have my little pouch that my Foreign Emery spork came in. Is big enough to hold several of them. So I have a larger steel spork, the Ozark Trail one. Then I have a couple of other plastic sporks. The black one that I had broke. I found that one at the thrift store, but it was not flexible like this, so it broke. But I have one of these in there. Yeah, that was really odd. I had one of those that was labeled tuna, and it had the jalapeno beef patty. I also had another jalapeno beef patty MRE. I opened both of those up to show the difference between the one that was completely correct and the one that had the tuna in it. Or, the one that had the salmon, or it had the jalapeno beef patty instead of the tuna. So that was odd. There was something weird going on there, but in the tuna emery that had the beef patty in it, it actually had the mayonnaise that you would typically put on the tuna. Plus it had the cheese spread for the beef patty. That was a bit odd. Yeah, and so Paul got 2 menu 19s in his 23 pack case B. So is one of the other menus that he is missing. So someone was not paying much attention on the box packing line and somehow got 2 of those menu 19s in that box. And sometimes the accessory packs have been wrong. They would be missing something, or they would have a double of something. So he bought a case A from that same seller, but he has not opened that one yet. He will open that one pretty soon. It'll be interesting to see if that one is completely correct or if it's a mess up as well. And speaking of cases, I found some halal emery cases on eBay. They're all at least $100 for that case. Even the older, I think 2018 one, that one seller has, that seller wants $100. The rest of them are newer packed, so those sellers want at least 125 or 145 for them. Yeah, the Q from the Star Trek universe, all they have to do is think something into existence. And then they will meddle in other people's affairs. I have a few left from my 22 pack case A. And then I have one. I have a beef goulash from 2024. I actually had two of them because I got one in the case that Waffles sent me. And then I got another one in a smaller, it's like a group, a set of 4, random selection, and one of them happened to be the beef goulash. So I'm holding on to that one because I want to get a foreign goulash ration. The last time I tried the can out of a Polish ration that said English goulash, it was just a can of beef luncheon meat. You know, like a beef spam or something like that. And the main entree was bigos, a hunter stew, and that one was made with beef. Usually that's made with pork, but mine had beef in it. And finding another Polish ration that has goulash in it is proven to be very difficult. I don't know of any other rations from other countries that would have goulash in it, because I would like to do a comparison between the American goulash and a foreign. I've done that with some IMPs, you know, the chili and the beef ravioli. I don't think I've done that with the Canadian spaghetti, where I would do the American or the Canadian first, and then a Sunday after that, the other version. Yeah, the beef patty is gone. So 2025 lineup does not have the beef patty, which is an absolute stupidity of an idea. I mean, that beef patty is like, it's a comfort meal. The only thing they need to do is, if they had a shelf stable bun like what you get in Canadian IMPs, that would be a perfect for that. Now the beef sticks, those were more of a miss than a hit. To me, the teriyaki beef stick did not taste like teriyaki. It tasted more like just a vinegar marinated beef stick. They had a couple of different brands of that going. And neither one were that great. Plus, in some of the menus they put them in, it didn't make sense. But as far as being shelf stable, you know, since they were double wrapped, they would hold up a lot better. Now, if they have like the Jack Link steak bar that you might find in Australian rations or some other foreign rations, I would definitely be happy with that. Well, I am curious to see what the 2025 Emery lineup looks like. And I hope to get a case of the newest MCWs available because some of those menus have also changed. Turkey tetrazzini's gone. The seafood chowder is gone. The seafood chowder is my favorite of the MCWs from their earlier lineup. Next would be the turkey tetrazzini. But the way they do, instead of using the tan pouches that don't have a zip seal, they use the Mountain House Pro Pack. So once you pour your water in, you can zip it shut to keep the heat in while it's reconstituting. Yeah, those, yeah, they do make good trail snacks because you get the protein, you get a little bit of the fat. Just something very easy to eat while on the move. Now, if you get an Australian CR1M or PR1M, which would be the patrol ration one man, those have freeze-dried entrees. I've never had one of those, but they might have the Jack Link steak bar, like some of the CR1M menus do. Those would be a good trail snack. So V8W, thanks for dropping in. You're looking at a 2019 pack Chilean Daff black line ration. I believe this would be the police version. This was my favorite of these Daff rations. I've never had the actual military one, which came in a tan bag. There have only been a few reviews of those on YouTube. But the red line version, I believe, is a first responder. That's red and white as opposed to the black and white like this one. The PR1M, actually I will type that into the chat. There you go. That is a 24-hour Australian ration, just like the CR1M, but those are wet pack retorts. They do have a ramen pouch in some of the menus, the mee goreng, but the patrol version, that has freeze-dried entrees, so they could be a cold climate ration. Australia does get winter in the higher elevations. It's just opposite of us because it's in the southern hemisphere. But I do watch a couple of Australian channels, like Scotty's Gone Walkabouts, and there are a couple other bushcraft channels. And of course, he doesn't do reviews, but Cyanide Cookies from Australia, who has hooked a few of us up with some nice stuff. He shows up in Smokey's chats on a semi-regular basis. Occasionally he has dropped into mine. But my time slot might not be as good for him. Smokey is usually on later in the evening than my normal start time. But speaking of garden, now that the temperature is going to be above 50, we still got one night below 50 Fahrenheit, but I'm hoping that next weekend I will be able to plant some seeds. I need to prep my pots. My deck faces north, so I don't get a whole lot of sun here, but sometimes I can get some things to come up, some not so much. Yeah, when Paul saw that he had two Menu 19s in there, he was actually excited about that because he had plans for, he's going to do something different with the jalapeno beef patty. And so he did that with one. He has another one that he will have a little fun with. Some of these apricots just started to fall apart, but I don't care. If anyone else got a 23-pack case B, it'll be interesting to see if any of those had that packing error like Paul's did. But since he was hoping to get, according to the listing, it was supposed to be a 2018 case, but well, the seller sent him a 23. But he's okay with that. He just thought that it was odd that some of these packing anomalies were there. I was supposed to have some rations delivered, but apparently someone in the post office had put a notice in my box, so either I was supposed to sign for it or it was too big for the package locker. But mail carriers, I signed the back of that notice and I stuck it back in my mailbox, but it wasn't until yesterday I caught the mail carrier and I told her that that notice had still been in my box. None of the other mail carriers had taken it back. So I don't know if that package has already been returned to the sender or if it's being held for some other reason. I don't know if I have to pay something, even though I had already paid the seller, and the seller is in the U.S., so there would be no tariff involved. Or what's up with that? Frenchie Sandy in the house. Thanks for dropping in. I don't have any of the paella left. I ate all the peanuts and raisins. This is pineapple drink here. It's a bit clumpy, but I still managed to get it dissolved. The Chilean coffee, I got 2 packs. So this other one will be saved for another day. They always put extra air in these coffee packets. But this is my favorite Ration coffee, and they sent me 6 packets of sugar. So the rest of these will get saved for another day. I thought these are 6 grams. No, these are 5-gram packs of sugar. About double what you get in the American MREs these days. Ours used to be like 5 or 6 gram packets. Now they're like 2. But those sugars will get stashed away. So this Daff spork, it's completely reusable. I have a few others. I have one in my camping utensil pack. I have one in my bug out bag. I think I have another one in my get home bag. So I might hold on to this one for a future giveaway. I don't know. And it came with 2 of these little packets of salt. About double the salt that you get in an American MRE. Same packet size, just different shape. And this one had the FRH in it. And the fill line for this one is higher than it is for the US MRE FRH. This one is a little bit narrower. So maybe the same amount of water applies, but it's a thick pad with no divided sections. It feels like the same pad that you would find in those Hot Hands body warmers. So that will go into my stash of FRH bags. I think he was having some issues. I think he put a post up about it. But I would have missed it anyway because we had an event at my mosque and I stayed through the whole thing, but I had to walk home from the Dart bus station because I caught the last bus from in front of the Hy-Vee that's around the corner from the mosque. I got to the Dart station, there were no buses there. As soon as we got out of that bus, or actually I was his last passenger because a couple others had gotten out previously. So he just drove the bus back to the garage. And I walked home from the Dart bus station last night. That is over a mile. And my feet are feeling it for sure. Wow, there you go. That'll make a nice coop for them. It's a good way to upcycle as opposed to just taking it to the dump or burning it. The chickens will like it. I put the big cracker, which is more like a cookie. They're as thick as our U.S. Emery oatmeal cookies. I crunched those up. I heated up the berries jam, which is basically a syrup with a few berries in it. And then I poured that over the cookie pieces. Would have been nice if there were a few more actual berries in there. But there is you can see a blueberry in that bite there. It depends on which way you go. I walked on 6th Avenue to Grand Avenue, and then I just walked east on Grand till I got to the park. And then I cut across the park. I did stop at one point, and a bar bouncer said I could go ahead and use the bathroom, didn't have to buy a drink. And I teased him saying, I'm not old enough for alcohol anyway, I'm only 60. That got a bit of a laugh. But I'm hoping that next month, when our bus routes change here, that some of these disjointed arrival and departure times will be a bit more in sync. And I took info on the route changes to my mosque. That way other bus riders can know about it. I think that's all I'm going to get out of that. I'll have to put some water in that bowl to let that soak for a bit, but yeah, that's the way you do it with that big cracker and the berries jam. Yeah, those are, and then signs are being put up on some others indicating that there will be new route numbers because the route numbers themselves are changing, and also new signs which are going in places that did not have bus stop signs previously. Those are going up, and then the signs themselves look quite a bit different. So the printing of the route information is being done now, and then they will simply be attached to the posts at a later time, and they will have braille on them. They'll have more information on them than what they currently have. Now it just has the stop number and what routes go by that particular stop. It says DART on it, but then there's another smaller sign that gives info on how to access arrival times for that particular stop by calling a number or texting a number. I use the app, which I use for buying and storing my passes. But I do the text arrival time checks occasionally. Yeah, I saw one of the new signs yesterday. And actually, I think I saw it Thursday. I had passed by it in a bus going somewhere. So that one is there to indicate the location for that new bus stop. So the sign crew is going to be very, very busy up until June 14th, which is a date that the changes all take place and they become live. But the route schedules are available on the DART website. They're not yet available on the app yet, but that is a work in progress. So that should be happening pretty soon. But the route maps are available online or at the DART station. I went to the last Transit Rider Advisory Committee meeting. Even though I'm no longer a member, I still choose to attend those meetings because I just want to keep updated on the changes. That way I can be better informed and I can make others better informed about it. Thanks for dropping in, Wilcox. Hope to see you another time. Yeah, when my mom and my sisters and my niece and nephews, when they were little kids, well, not so little, maybe like below 10 years old, we went up to Minneapolis to the Mall of America, and the hotel that we stayed in actually had city bus service. So we took the city bus from the hotel to the mall. That was another option in addition to the Marriott vans. But the mall had, it probably still does, a covered area where all of the buses that serve the mall will pull into, and hotel buses and vans also pull up in there to pick up and drop people. That was back in 97 when we went there. I'll probably just slurp the rest of that syrup out of there later. But that's what we did back in 97. But from what I understand from other people who have been there more recently, that mall has changed a huge amount. But that was my earliest experience with riding city buses, was up there in Minneapolis. Of course, then when I went to Chicago for a few days back in May of 2012, I rode the L, which is their subway system. They call it the L because some of their lines are elevated above ground, like when you go past Wrigley Field. The brown line goes past Wrigley Field, and you can see it out the windows as your train passes by it. I rode a few buses there, but I was hitting the trains more often. Their mini amusement park they had inside there was a hit with the kids. The rides were more geared for them, for smaller kids. So my sisters and my mom and I, we just watched them. But we still had a good time. Back then, we really never saw any security people. Of course, times have changed so much since 97 when we were there. I'm not sure I'd want to go up there now. It's been several years since I was inside one of the malls here in Des Moines. I went to one for something specific, but the store that I went into did not have what I was after, so I thought, heck with this. I'm not going to bother with this anymore. I haven't even gone to a Target. Either one of the Targets that are attached to or adjacent to a couple of the malls. I haven't been in either of those in a while. Thanks for dropping in, CR. Now that I made him hungry, he's going to go find himself something to eat. Yeah, but you still have to go through Minneapolis proper. And the hotel that we stayed in was in Minneapolis itself. Yeah, we stayed in the Marriott up there. Our last night there, we ate at the one restaurant that has the fish tanks all over it. One of them is shaped in such a way where you can actually walk under it. It's kind of like a tunnel, and you could see the fish on both sides, and then they could cross overhead, so you could look up and see a fish swimming over. I forget the name of that place, but yeah, we saved that place for last. And the food there was absolutely awesome. Thanks for dropping in, Tim. Yeah, it sounds like some of the changes could be good. I just don't see that happening down here. One of the malls down here, the building is almost completely empty. I don't think there are very many stores left in it. And it's under the control of a developer, or soon will be. And another one is not all that great anymore either. At one time, Merle Hay Mall had a bowling alley down in a basement. I had bowled there a few times. And it had a movie theater that was close by, then or attached to one side of it. And then Southridge Mall has a Target that is attached to it. And then a Hy-Vee store on the other side of an alley. The Merle Hay Mall Target is also directly attached to it, but the Southridge one, you can no longer go through the mall to get inside the Target. You have to go outside of the mall and go around the Target store to get inside of it. Whereas the Merle Hay Target, you could go through the mall and go in. Unless that has recently changed, but I have not been to either one of those in quite a few years. And Jordan Creek is probably the most active mall. It has a lot of the more expensive stores in it. But with a lot of the changes going on at some store change, some of those might be closing. Yeah, it is the only one that has a Macy's. Maybe one of these days I just might take a couple buses and go to them all and just see what it's like. I think this is, there's still some chunks in the bottom of this. And this pineapple, the drink mix, had some moisture exposure, but I'm not tasting anything nasty from it. Because it's been quite a few years since I had one of these Daff rations. I can't remember if, even back then, if the drink mixes were still that full of moisture or not. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Around here, they do that with casinos. The Prairie Meadows Casino in Altoona, which is a suburb of Des Moines, there is a hotel that you can stay in. So if you're in that casino, either to attend an event or to actually gamble, or the horse racing is starting up because there is a horse track there. So people will be coming to the horse races and maybe lay some bets down. So if they are coming in from out of town, they could stay in that hotel and not have to bother with trying to find a way to get from the hotel to Prairie Meadows. But I have never been there. Some people go only to eat from their buffet line. Apparently that's pretty decent. I've never had, since I've been there, I've never had any of their food, so I have no idea what it's like, but apparently some people just like to do that. Today I was supposed to go to my mom's apartment, or we would someone would pick her up and take her to one of my sister's houses, but because my mom is sick, I tossed up a post earlier saying that my stream time would not be affected. But I have her gift wrapped. I have a card. So that's all ready to go. And my great niece's birthday was that was recent, and I was going to give her her birthday present then, so I have that ready as well. So those are just sitting in a bag. And we will try again on the 24th. See, that is, I'm going to, yeah, that is also a Sunday. So we wished her happy Mother's Day on Facebook. And they may also have drug detection dogs. We don't have that many police dogs here, but we do have a few. Ours may be cross-trained to not only search for lost people or cadavers or criminals, but some of them may also be cross-trained to do scent detection for chemicals or illegal drugs. I've only seen either the German Shepherds or some of them might be Belgian Tervuurens or Belgian Malinois. I think there's another Belgian breed. I can't remember the name of that breed, but those are the ones usually trained for that kind of service work. But I see the German Shepherds the most. In some places they may use beagles for scent detection. Oh yeah, bloodhounds would definitely be a good free breed for that type of search, because they were specifically bred to go after a game animal's blood trail. Of course, I think we've all seen videos or pictures of beagles in airports sniffing luggage. And then when they get a hit, they would sit beside that particular item that has the scent that they were trained to search for. Doodles are probably really good for searching for lost people, because they'll probably just want to love on the person they find. Of course, dogs have a much better sense of smell than we do, and their hearing range is wider than ours. Yeah, some of the dogs around here will just, they'll pick up on things that we can't, and it might set them off barking. We got a mix of dogs around here. We got little dogs, bigger dogs. Before this neighbor moved out, my immediate neighbor had a German Shepherd Husky mix. And the Husky traits dominated. But during the winter, that dog's hair would be darker on top, like you might see on a German Shepherd. But then when it got to be summer, that dark hair would pretty much be gone. He would be almost white. But most of the dogs around here are smaller. And there are a few others who have cats. Yeah, we had we had a few searches like that around here not all that long ago. Where dogs were given something of that person to take the scent clue off of, and then that dog would lead its human, try to find that scent and lead its human partner to the person, or at least try to pick up the trail. But most of those searches here have resulted in the person found alive, maybe some distance from home. Some have been found far away from home because they were trafficked. But I think more police departments in this area and elsewhere in the state, they are getting dogs. That will definitely make these searches a whole lot more effective. Yeah, I'm in Iowa. I'm in Des Moines. Yeah, Tim Riley is also here in Des Moines. He used to work at a club restaurant in one of the towers in the downtown area where you had to be a member in order to be able to eat there. You paid a membership. That's an ambulance, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, when they go up, there's a major street that is one, yeah, on the other side of the little city park that my street is on. So there are ambulances and fire trucks and police cars going up and down there quite often. Yeah, one that we had here was the same way. And of course, we also had a somewhere else in Iowa. A person had failed to return to a work release facility. So that person, I believe, has been found and is now back in jail. But because we do have a huge trafficking problem, especially with kids, I think more and more police and sheriff, they're getting dogs, and now truck drivers can take training on how to spot someone who may have gotten away from a trafficker. Or who may, if a trafficker and their captive end up in a truck stop, truck drivers can get training on how to spot them discreetly and then contact local authorities without letting the trafficker know that they have been spotted and reported. Well, you go ahead. It's very early. Hey, you got to get up with the crows. You got to hit the sack. But I'm going to go ahead and close this one down anyway, since all I have left are what's left of my drinks and my apricot syrup. Again, I apologize for the stream being vertical and horizontal, but it just flipped from the horizontal setting that I had originally intended. Again, I want to thank Art and Nina of Foreign Emery for sending me this ration along with this mug. They don't put up much on YouTube these days because they're just busy with life, but who knows, maybe they'll drop something. But they are still big supporters of the Ration community here, and they dropped a super chat earlier, so that's much appreciated. So next week I might dig into that RCIR. I would love to get into that one. So I will get 2 streams out of that. Yeah, I think that's what I might do, but I will definitely post up what I decide to do. But again, I want to thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. I hope, and thank you especially the new viewers who've come in for the first time. I do this every Sunday at 7 p.m. Central. That is 8 Eastern U.S. time. And if I cannot stream for whatever reason, and I know in advance, then I will toss a post up saying that as well. But I hope to see you again. And thanks for those too who dropped those jewel gifts. That's the first time I've seen that in action. So again, that's much appreciated. So thanks for watching, and catch you on the flip side.